I watched this video about the difference between sympathy and empathy, and I just wanted to elaborate on what I learned from that video. And the lady was saying about how sympathy is when you have pity for someone and you feel sorry for them, but you're not really doing any action. You're just thinking, oh, I feel sorry for them, like I wouldn't want to be in their position. You kind of keep going on with your day. Whereas empathy is the complete opposite. You know, you take on the feelings of that person, you're empathetic for them, you share their feelings, and you know, take on what they're feeling, whether that's happiness or sadness. You take it on and walk alongside with them, and you're literally stepping into their shoes to see how they feel. And I feel that God is talking to me that as Christians, this is what we're called to do. We're called to be empathetic people. We're not called to just give sympathy and think, oh, well, I'm glad I'm not in that position, like, I'll just leave you to that. We're called to walk alongside people and actually think and take action by taking on the emotions that they feel and thinking, wow, like, they're suffering, I want to feel how they are and help them to understand that I'm standing with them. Or they're celebrating right now, I need to celebrate with them in their happiness. And in Romans 12:15 it says that we should rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. So literally in the Bible multiple times it says that you need to stand in unity with those around us, with our community. And in 1 Corinthians 12:26 it says if one member suffers, all the members suffer. And if one member is glad, all the members are glad. And it's just reiterated so many times that if one person is happy, everybody else should celebrate with them. You know, we shouldn't compare our situations. We should just be happy with one another and celebrate in that goodness. But equally, if something bad's happening, then we all need to be empathetic and take on those feelings and, you know, understand where people are going and relate to them, because that's literally the heart of Jesus. When Jesus came to earth, he was empathetic with people. He wasn't sympathetic and just thought, oh, they're suffering, oh, you know, hope they work out okay, and just carries on with his day. He goes into them and he reveals himself to them and shows his empathy towards them. And it's a perfect example in John 11 verses 33 to 35. I'm just going to read them to you. It says, when Jesus saw her weeping and saw other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up within him, and he was deeply troubled. Where have you put him? He asked them. They told him, Lord, come and see. Then Jesus wept. And a bit of the background for this is that Mary's brother Lazarus had just died. He was 4 days dead. And, you know, they wanted Jesus to raise him from the dead and keep him from dying. But Jesus, going into this, obviously Jesus is God. He knows the future. He knows that, you know, Lazarus is actually going to live. He's actually going to raise him from the dead. But yet that doesn't stop him from showing empathy. And when he sees his friends that are hurt and troubled, he cries with them. He weeps with them. You know, we don't serve a God who's distant and who doesn't understand what we're going through, but we serve a God who completely knows what we're going through. He walked the earth. He knows what we're doing and what we go through. He knows the highs and lows of life. He went through it all. And in Hebrews 4:15 it says, the high priest of ours understands our weakness, for he faced the same testings we do, yet he did not sin. So it just shows that God is relational and he understands what we're going through. You know, when you pray to him, you might think, oh yeah, but this is just so difficult because God is in heaven and I'm on earth. God doesn't understand what I'm going through right now, but he does. He sent his son down to show you that he is relational and he wants a relationship with you. He wants you to know that, look, my son walked the earth. He knows what you're going through. We know what you're going through. And I just want to encourage you that it may feel like you're doing it all alone, but even if you don't physically have somebody around you that is being empathetic with you, maybe a good community of people, if you don't even have that, then you've got Jesus who understands. If you just reach out to him, he understands how you feel. And when we begin to be empathetic with others, it's easy to get into the temptation to compare, whether that is with happiness. So say you're being empathetic with someone and you're trying to celebrate with them, something amazing has just happened with them and you're like, I'm going to celebrate with you because this is great news. But often it can be hard to think, wow, their situation is really good right now, this is unfair, I'm not happy with that, I'm jealous of that. And it's really difficult to stop yourself from becoming jealous and comparing to others. And in Matthew 20, verses 9 to 15, in the parable of the vineyard workers, it shows a good example of people that are comparing and how the farmer, you know, teaches them not to do that. And I'm just going to read that quickly for you. When those hired at 5 o'clock were paid, each received a full day's wage. When those hired first came to get their pay, they assumed they would receive more, but they too were paid a day's wage. So people that had joined later in the day still received the same full day's wage as the people that actually started at the beginning of the day. When they received their pay, they protested to the owner, Those people worked only 1 hour, and yet you've paid them just as much as you've paid us, who worked all day in the scorching heat." He answered, one of them, the farmer answered, "Friend, I have been unfair. Didn't you agree to work all day for the usual wage? Take your money and go. I wanted to pay this last worker the same as you. Is it against the law for me to do what I want with my money? Should you be jealous because I am kind to others?" And this parable represents the farmer, the owner, the person who's paying out his workers, as Jesus, and it kind of shows the grace that we've been given. And it also represents, you know, how it's so easy to compare, like, that person's getting paid more the same as me, yet I've done more work, I've been here longer, I've been in the heat all day, but yet they're getting paid the same amount. That is so unfair. And I bet a lot of you can reason with these men and like, well, yeah, that is unfair, like, what? And especially if you've got a job, you might be like, yeah, if that was in my shoes, then I would. But Jesus is teaching us something in this parable, that we shouldn't compare to others, and any of the blessings that we get, any of the blessings we've ever received in our lives or will receive, we don't deserve them. That's just the grace of Jesus. We don't deserve the blessings we receive. I had this broken down bit of what grace means, and it's God's grace, God's riches at Christ's expense. I just thought that is, I've never heard it before, and a lot of people may have already heard that before, but I just thought that was so amazing. Literally, that is what grace is. We don't deserve the grace that we got, that Jesus died on the cross for us, but yet it's at Christ's expense. God just gives his riches at Christ's expense. So none of the blessings that we get, we deserve. So there's no reason for us to compare with others. So we just need to be empathetic with others and celebrate with them and uphold them. And that's part of being a Christian. You're united with others, and you need to show unity and, you know, walk alongside with others and actually step into their shoes and think, wow, I'm going to actually walk with them and show them that I love them by getting in their shoes and walking along the journey with them, whether that's the highs, the lows, or the in between. Because that is what Jesus does. When Jesus on earth, he didn't, you know, walk away from other people. He went with them, and we walked with them, and he continues to walk with us now. And as we're called to live like Jesus lived on earth, we need to do that, and we need to start taking on the habits of actually being empathetic rather than just sympathetic to others, because it's so easy to just be sympathetic and think, oh, yeah, but I don't want to, you know, get involved with that. That doesn't look like a fun situation to be in. But being a Christian isn't necessarily always going to be fun all the time. Jesus didn't say that your life would be easy as a Christian. He said there will be challenges that you'll come across, but yet you just need to be empathetic and walk with them and trust that, you know, Jesus will help you through it. And imagine how much better if you put yourself in the situation of somebody that was going through something tough, or even something that was really good and you were really excited about. Imagine how much better it would be if you had a community of people around you that were walking with you, supporting you and feeling the same feelings as you, whether that was feelings of sadness or feelings of happiness. Imagine if you had a crowd of people that are around you feeling those same feelings with you. It would be so much better than if you were just walking by yourself and think, wow, I'm all alone in this. But when you have a community around you, it really symbolises Christ's love for you, and you can see, it's like when you're in the church. The church is called to be a family and to be united. We're not called to be separated into different things, but we're one body, a part of one thing. So it's like when we say that if one part suffers, all the parts suffer. You can't have one part without the other. So we need to just be empathetic with others and, you know, actually understand how they feel. And I feel like that's the challenge for all of us, that some situations may not be the situations that we want to get involved with and want to walk in the same shoes as other people with. But that's the challenge of being a Christian. It's not an easy life, but we're challenging ourselves, and it's good to have a bit of a challenge. It would be boring if we just went along the same path or, you know, kept going the same thing every day. You'd get bored easily, but that's what being Christian is. You're supposed to get out of your comfort zone and push yourself. I just want to encourage you that when you do maybe get more empathetic with other people, don't compare yourself or your situation to others, or maybe you're looking at two different situations. Don't compare them. Just know that you're on a different path to everybody else. You're unique, and that your path of life is not the same as theirs. There's no reason to compare them because you're not the same person. So it would be odd if your path looked exactly the same, wouldn't it? So when you're being empathetic, just know that you're on different paths and there's no reason to compare, but just stand with your brothers and sisters and celebrate and weep with them as Jesus did.